Joining us now, Jeremiah Jensen. JJ, how are you?
Scotty, how you doing? Looking forward to getting home, but had a great weekend.
Did you were you able to stay awake during the game? I'm sure that's not, everybody wants to make sure nobody's cheering in the press box. I can't imagine they don't want people sleeping in the press box.
Yeah, it was kind of a nice mix there, right? I was definitely relaxed during the game. Let me tell you that. Weird Super Bowl. You don't have a touchdown until the fourth quarter. That's not what anybody wants, right? But I got to give the Seahawks defense credit, Scotty. They made the Super Bowl boring. The Seahawks did exactly what they wanted to do.
Yep, and that's, and I just said while we were getting you on the air, somewhere Kyle Whittingham was smiling because they played great defense, they had elite special teams, and they didn't make mistakes. And Sam Darnold didn't make mistakes, whereas Drake May, his defense was playing very well too, but they didn't have field position, and he ended up turning the ball over. And that fumble, I know it was 12-0, but that fumble ended up really being the difference in the game. And really, that was the nail in the coffin there.
Yeah, you mentioned the Seahawks taking care of the football. I think they were the first playoff team ever to go the entire playoffs without turning the ball over. That's insane. What the Seahawks did in this postseason is pretty remarkable. And we're probably not going to remember it much or talk about it because it's been kind of boring and pedestrian as far as how they did it, because it's exactly what we just talked about, the things that don't get you too excited or thrilled if you're sitting there watching at home. But if you're a football guy, you really appreciate what the Seahawks team was able to accomplish. And you look on the other side, Scotty, we're Broncos fans. We love Bo Nix, but there's those things he does as a second-year quarterback. Just like, geez, what are you doing? Experience matters. Experience really matters, and I think that contrast showed in this postseason. Drake May had a problem turning the football over through the entire postseason, and that Patriots defense bailed them out in the previous games. They could not bail them out in this game because the Seahawks are too good. But experience really matters, and it's a lot to ask a second-year quarterback to go out there on the biggest stage and be dynamite. And he wasn't. He wasn't ready for it, and you can't fault him for that.
No.
He's not. He's a second-year quarterback. So, everything came together exactly right for the Seahawks. You got to love the Sam Darnold story. That's a guy that is the opposite of what Drake May is. He's been through it all. He's been told he's a bust. He's been a backup in this league for a while. He had to fight and claw and scratch his way here, and he took advantage of every opportunity he got. You got to love that story. But, you had a quarterback who was ready for the moment, and it's not like Sam Darnold was amazing, but he was good enough.
Yeah.
And the other quarterback just wasn't ready for prime time, but he could be someday soon.
Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of times, and look, you and I grew up Broncos fans, so we lived through those Elway debacle Super Bowls in the late 80s. So we know what it's like when a quarterback gets pegged as a Super Bowl losing quarterback, and you feel bad for him because you know they're better than that. Well, guess what? I don't want Drake May to go through that because Drake May's got a chance to be a multiple Super Bowl winner. He's got a chance to go to multiple Pro Bowls and win a lot of games, and a good chance he'll do all of that. And so what we saw last night is not indicative of what he's going to be as a professional. He looked like a second-year player playing on the biggest stage with a pass rush that his offensive line couldn't contain, and I don't blame the guy one bit for having happy feet.
No, you look at the talent. You look what Drake May accomplished this year. He was in the MVP conversation for a reason because he had an outstanding season. Now, a lot of the critics will say, well, the Patriots did this against a bad schedule. They played who they had on their schedule. It worked out that way. I think it hurt them in the postseason. It didn't prepare them for what they ultimately reached. But this Patriots team was supposed to be bad. They were supposed to miss the playoffs.
Yeah.
They were not supposed to be here. They are way ahead of schedule. And I'm saying this as a Broncos fan. That scares me because this Patriots team took a giant leap this year that they weren't supposed to take. And I think they're going to be in the mix for years to come. There's a lot of nice young pieces on that roster, and starting with your quarterback. And that defense is great. The Patriots aren't going anywhere. So it's going to get tough here in the AFC. If you're one of those teams like the Bills or the Ravens or the Chiefs are on the back end of their success, you got to be looking at these young teams in the AFC and thinking, man, I don't know how what are we going to have to do to stay on top because these teams are coming. I'm talking about the Jags, the Broncos, the Texans, and, of course, the Patriots. There's some really good young teams in the AFC. They're going to be good for years to come. And the Patriots were one of them because they have Drake May, not in spite of it.
So if there's something that a GM watching that game, if JJ, you're taking over a team as general manager, or I'm taking over a team as general manager, there's one lesson I'm taking away from that game yesterday in building my team, and that is invest in special teams. because a lot of people are talking about the field goal kicker should be MVP. Frankly, I thought Michael Dixon, the punter, had a better case for being MVP with all those punts pinned inside the 5-yard line, which led to short fields, allowing the field goal kicker to knock those through. Seattle has the highest payroll for special teams than any other team in the NFL. They've got the highest paid punter in the NFL. And frankly, he deserved every penny of that and more for the showcase. I know we don't like to talk about kickers, and if I had an old co-host with me right now, he'd slap me beside the head. But I think that field goal kicker and that punter were just as important as any other players for Seattle in that game yesterday.
Special teams matters, and if this postseason didn't remind you of that, then you're not paying attention. I'll also add the addition of Rashid Shaheed. He didn't have that electric breakout in this game, but his kickoff return for a touchdown in that San Francisco game set the tone for that game, got the crowd in it, got the players in it, and Seattle went nuts after that. And they absolutely steamrolled the 49ers because of the tone that was set right out of the gate. And so you look back at the trade deadline and the addition of Rashid Shaheed for a team to say, okay, what do we really need to add here to take us over the top? And to look at special teams as one of those things, because they didn't get Rashid Shaheed because he's a breakout receiver, which he is. They knew exactly what they needed from him, and it was that return game that they needed to add to their team. And it was just the little things Seattle knew they needed to do. And you watch what they did, and that's, to your point about what a GM needs to do, all the details matter. The punter mattered. Pinning the Patriots deep in their side of the field over and over again in that Super Bowl, putting a lot of pressure on Drake May and that offense against that dark side defense that's just the fiercest in the league right now. That mattered. And so you have to look at every detail if you want to win a Super Bowl championship, and the best teams do. And a lot of other teams around the league are going to be looking at that and saying, okay, maybe we need to really invest in our kicker and our punter, because Scotty, you watch it all over the league. Like, these teams are going through kickers like it's crazy. Like, some teams have 3 or 4 kickers in a year. It's like they don't get it. Like, you need to have a guy you could trust. And they're not easy to find sometimes. And so when you find them, invest in them.
Yep. And the thing, too, is there's a lot of, and we see this at the college level, too. I know a lot of coaches that refuse to give scholarships to kickers because they're like, well, I want to use that on my 4-string offensive line, left tackle. And then their field goal kicker goes out and misses 3 field goals, and they're like, well, I don't know what, the guy's got one job. Well, guess what? Yeah, you brought in somebody off the scrap heap, and he screwed it up for you. If you go out and you recruit and you bring in a guy, give him a scholarship and treat him like a member of the team and really make it a priority, you'll get a good one. And that's the thing. In the NFL, there's a lot of teams that try to go cheap on their kickers and punters, and then they're like, well, yeah, we don't know why he didn't perform. Yeah, because he didn't care about it. And it bit you in the butt. And Seattle, it matters. And because of that, they're a real team, and they won because of it. I want to get your thoughts also on, because, look, you and I lived through that 2013 Super Bowl. Legion of Doom versus this last Seattle defense. Who are you taking?
Wow, that's a great one, because and there's so many similarities, right? And the dominance is the same. I don't know, Scotty. Maybe it's just recency bias, but this dark mode defense, I was watching this team and looking around at some of the guys, and you got Leonard Williams, and you got all these young DBs, and there's just so many guys. You had guys on the 2 deep coming in. There's a defensive tackle on the 2 deep that came in and just absolutely blew up one of the Patriots offensive linemen. His name escapes me right now, but he just went through the lineman, and while the lineman was blocking him, grabbed Drake May and threw him down. Yeah. That's not a starter. That's a guy on the 2 deep that came in and gave somebody else a rest and went in there and made a game-changing play. They had 7 sacks in the Super Bowl. I'm taking the dark side. I know that Legion of Boom is awesome. Bobby Wagner's going to go in the Hall of Fame, but this defense was truly remarkable this year, and what they were really good at was stopping those explosive plays. I mean, historically good at it, and that's why they're Super Bowl champions. Sorry, probably recency bias, but after watching them and watch what they did, how dominant they were against a team that was that good offensively, let's be honest, you go back and look at that Broncos team in that Super Bowl, Scotty, that was not an offensive juggernaut. That was late career Peyton Manning, noodle arm Peyton Manning. This Patriots team was really good offensively. They made them look terrible. So I got to go dark side. It was pretty impressive last night.
So what's the vibe like? I have not been to a Super Bowl, and unless my team's playing, I don't really have a strong desire to go to a Super Bowl because I can't imagine what it's like sitting through all those timeouts when you got 4 minutes of commercials at a time.
Yeah.
So what's the vibe like? Is it? I mean, does it feel like does it have a good vibe to it? Because it's more of a corporate event than it is a fan event, right?
There's some truth to that, Scotty, but I'll tell you, I'm walking through the gates last night, or yesterday afternoon, I should say, and you wouldn't believe the amount of Patriots jerseys and Seahawks jerseys, the hardcore fans. There was a sea of them. The Seahawks traveled really well, and you heard in the stadium when the Seahawks walked out the explosion of Seahawks fans, and also for the Patriots. I know it's corporate, and it's really expensive, and there's a lot of who's who and the celebrities and all that going on there. But both of those fan bases traveled really well, and they were out in full force. Those are two great fan bases. The building was electric, Scotty. It was a great atmosphere. It wasn't stale. They did a great job. It was a lot of different things that they did during timeouts or whatever that kept it moving. I thought they did a great job. It was awesome, and I'll give fans credit. The crowd showed up. I don't know how much these people are paying for tickets. They probably mortgaged their house. That's how much they love their teams. I wouldn't do it, and I wouldn't recommend it. But that's how passionate the fans were. I mean, you think about the Patriots fans, got people from Boston or Boston transplants or whatever. And the Seahawks fans are so good, they have their own name. They're called the 12. So if your fans are so good, they have their own name, then you're pretty special. So you felt that last night. So I've been to different Super Bowls, and yes, you make a point with the corporate part of it, Scotty. But last night especially, I think it was because of the fan bases of these two teams. It was a great atmosphere. It was fun. They did a great job in the stadium. It was awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good to hear. So the thing people don't understand, NFL games have, like, you and I are used to, a hot dog that's been sitting on a grill for way too long or it's been boiled.
Yeah.
College spreads are not great for the media. Some are better than others. BYU does a tremendous job. But NFL games, the media spread is ridiculous. Is it the same for a Super Bowl? And did you go hit that instead of watching the halftime show?
I did not have access to this spread you're talking about.
Oh, boo.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, I don't know why or how or what, but I was not fortunate enough, I guess, because I had to settle for a hot dog and a hamburger, and the hamburger didn't have cheese on it. So that was a free offering in the media tent after the game. So, yeah, sorry, Scotty. I don't have some kind of great story to share. I had great food outside of the Super Bowl event. Don't get me wrong. San Francisco had some great options, but in Super Bowl, I didn't have that fortune. I did see some of the stuff online. Like Matt Glade he tweeted something like this giant, massive, was it a hamburger?
Yeah.
What the heck was that? It was a giant hamburger. I'm like, where is that? How can I find it? I mean, it'd probably kill me. I'd probably have a heart attack just trying to eat it. But
it looked like
there were some good offerings in the stadium.
It was a $180 burger that they were selling, and it looked like a big giant beef rib, one of those dino ribs that was sticking out of it. And yeah, you know what? A different time and day, I probably would have gone for it. But now I look at it, I'm like, that's going to make me so sick if I eat that thing. But
yeah, to be honest, Scotty, same here. But I'm in the Salt Lake City fat loss phase of my life, and I'm kind of retired from that type of eating. But tempting, very tempting. I wouldn't mind at least trying it.
Yeah, no doubt. JJ, you're the best. Great coverage down there as always. Thanks for your time and safe travels back here. If there's a first class upgrade, make sure you snag it, and Matt goes and sits back and coach. All right.
Thanks, Scotty. I'm not that cruel. I won't do that.
Love
at
you,
least
Matt.
I won't admit it over the air.
Yeah, there you go. Awesome. Thanks, JJ.
Scotty.
There he is, Jeremiah Jensen.